my senior year at Bishop Aumont. We're playing Servite High School, and it's an important game because the playoffs are at stake and you're seeding in the playoffs. And we were driving down at the end of the game to win. And I got to the line of scrimmage, and it was on the quick count, so first sound, so you had to go. But I said, hut! And the ball was snapped, and it was a fumble, went straight up in the air, never touched my hands. And there were a few seconds that passed, and I realized that the reason that happened was I had lined up behind the guard. We lost the game, and it was a very humbling experience, and not the way you want to finish the end of your high school career.
Yeah. Now, I understand that, when you're in high school and you're playing these big games, you got recruiters who come. Was there any ramifications of that, what happened for you being recruited and like, hey, do we want this guy in a big moment to line up over the guard instead of the center?
There were some coaches there, one in particular, a guy named Paul Hackett, who was at Cal at the time, and he called me the next day. And in the conversation that he was talking about with me, congratulating me on a really good game, and I'm like really? He's really congratulating me and all this stuff. And then he said something which caught me off guard. He said, hey, at the end of the game, there was some kind of commotion as I was leaving because I had to catch a flight to get home. What happened? And that was a moment where the wheels were turning in my head about what to say and how to say it and should I say it. And if I tell him actually that I'd lined up behind the guard, maybe he's like going to hang up on me and that'll be the last I hear from him or
I don't need this
whatever.
guy lined up behind guard.
I mean,
yeah.
You're probably not going to, have much of a chance of playing college if you don't know where the center is. So
it's probably something the quarterback should know.
It should know. But I decided, hey, I'm gonna tell him the truth. I'm gonna tell him the truth because he's probably gonna find out, and you can never go wrong with telling the truth, right? So I actually stammered and trying to tell him, you're not gonna believe this, coach, but I lined up behind the guard, and we lost the game. There's a long pause. He said, well, that's happened before. And right then and there, I knew he was my guy.
Right.
And he was going to look past that momentary lapse of poor judgment on my part, and to really saw that I could be the guy that he wanted to play quarterback for him.
And then the story continues at a different school because he moved on to SC.
Correct.
Which is how you ended up getting recruited to SC,
That's
I would
right.
imagine, through him. And when you got to SC, there was a lot of other quarterbacks there. I think there's 9, and you were the new guy, so that puts you 9 on the depth chart of 9 guys. How important was your relationship with him in giving you support and giving you confidence to help you get from that bottom level all the way up to the top where you ended up as a starter, All-American, national champion, all the things you did while you were at SC?
Massively important to have somebody like that in my corner. And I venture to say that any successful person in any walk of life has that person or persons that have been there for them, that have guided them, encouraged them, supported them, inspired them, all of those things. And that was, Paul believed in me, and we had this connection, right? And he really admired, his dad was a chemistry professor at Cal. Paul was super smart guy, very academic oriented. I was an academic guy, so we had that connection. So he respected my mind, but he was always there for me, and gave me the opportunity to show what I could do. And he was the one that told John Robinson when he got the quarterback coach job at SC, hey, I got my quarterback.
Right.
And Coach Robinson said, okay. And that's how we ended up,
Yeah.
because SC was not recruiting me.
Right. And, I think a lot of people, we've got this thing, this almost mythology of the self-made man who just pulls himself up by the bootstraps and he does it all himself. And, I'm sure there's people out there who have, but the reality is we need help. We need somebody around us who's either going to give us confidence or just do whatever it is that kind of fills in the things that maybe we're not strong at. But talk about that, maybe the confidence part especially, how important it is to have people in your life who make you feel better about yourself and allow you to go and really take those leaps of faith to achieve those dreams that you're chasing.
Life is really, it's a team game,
Yeah.
And it's the collective. There are no self-made people out there. It's a collective effort with others that are doing their part to allow you to flourish.
Right.
And in sports especially, having the confidence
Right.
to go out there and perform, and you know that someone believes in you.
Right.
And I'll go back to a story that occurred, which you haven't heard before. When I was in third grade, I played on the fifth grade basketball team in grammar school.
Wow.
And the coach, named Coach Ron, told my mother after the season that your son Paul is going to be a pro athlete one day.
Wow.
And I was in third grade,
Wow.
8 years old. And he didn't tell me that, I told my mother, but my mother shared that with me. So how important was that in developing my belief
Right.
at such an early age of somebody seeing something in me that implanted that belief and confidence in me? And how much did it play? I bet it played a part,
Huge.
for sure.
Because it makes that dream attainable, because somebody else believes it to be true, because it's, to have that self-belief is obviously massively important, but to be validated by somebody else, especially at such a young age.
You have to have people like this in your corner. And the more people you have like that, the better. I think the way you find those people is you got to have some self-love. You got to have belief in yourself. You got to be having validating comments in your own mind about who you are and that you deserve this and all of those types of thoughts, right? No matter what you're doing.
Sure.
And those people will start to show up in your life if you think like that and you feel like that.
So I have a theory that if you want people to help you and support you and do those things that will enrich your life, the best thing you can do is help other people. And not in a quid pro quo kind of way, like, hey, I'm going to help you, Paul, so next week you'll help me. I mean more like go volunteer at the local Boys and Girls Club, or help kids who are young learn how to read, go feed the homeless, do whatever. When you give back to your community, to the people around your life, it just somehow finds its way back to you and another person who ends up doing that same thing you did for somebody else for you. And there's a karmic element to it, but I also think there's a practical element. Like, you want to help somebody who you see as a good person and helping other people, because then they become worthy of your help and your support, because you're like, that guy's a good guy. He's out there really doing the right thing in the community. When he asks me for help, I'm going to help him. I'm not going to turn my back on him. But again, I think it's also like you love talking about the energy component of it, what you attract. Mm-hmm. So what would you say for people as far as what are some of the things they might want to consider doing to attract positive people in their life?
Well, I mentioned first, you have to believe that you deserve it.
Right.
What you just said about giving back comes from the heart, and that's your sort of state of being. It's like how you're oriented, and people want to be around people that are givers, that give up their time and their self and their energy and their talents and their money and so forth, and that is very attractive. And those are the right community that you want to be involved with in those organizations too, and people are going to notice that. And it is universal, for sure. It's a universal forces at play, that when you conduct your life like that, those things will come back to you, because that's all part of the sphere of what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Really, I think the big takeaway from this is that no man lives on an island, that we're all part of this greater thing. And there's the sayings like it takes a village and all that, but I think when especially talking to young people, I would tell them, find a mentor. Because a lot of people don't have a great family system. Maybe their parents aren't the greatest for whatever reason. Maybe they're busy, whatever. And if you don't have that in your own life, you can go out and seek it through a teacher, a coach, somebody that can kind of guide you. And if you ask for enough people, it's okay to ask for help. And if you ask enough people, you will get that help that you need, that support you need, so that you don't have to just wait around for it to kind of fall out of a tree on your head. Go out and seek it when you need it.
And the people you're going to be asking are going to respect the fact that you're asking them for guidance and assistance and support and encouragement and all of that. 100%. And that's what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's flattering.
It's
if
totally
I come
flattering.
to you and say, God, you know this thing better than anybody, can you please help me out? That shows that I value you to even ask you in the first place.
Yeah, we don't have to do it alone. And my background being in a team sport, I could spin a football, but I couldn't protect, anybody. I need those guys up front. I need guys to catch and run.
Well, you only weighed like 160 pounds.
$178. Yeah, I played at $178. Yeah.
So you weren't knocking too many people around.
No.
Yeah, so you needed those offensive linemen. That's who gave you a lot of love on a football field.
I gave them a ton of love off the field too.
Right.
I love offensive linemen. They're the best. So yeah, and that's where I've come from. Go find a mentor. Go find somebody that you respect, somebody that you admire for who they are as a person and what they've achieved, and ask for their help. And if they say no, they probably not a situation to accept. But if they say no, they're not the one for you anyway.
Exactly. It might not be nothing about you. It's just you might have caught them at a time in their life when they don't have the time to help you, and they know that. So they're being actually honest and fair with you by rejecting But then you find somebody else.
Somebody else better.
Somebody else
around
better.
The corner.
Right. And again, I think the big thing is a lot of us feel that we're going to be putting somebody out, so we don't want to ask for help. And you said it perfectly. It's very, very flattering when somebody asks you for help because it means they really value you. And so it's huge to make that a part of your life, is to not try and just fight through everything yourself. Use those resources that you have around you, and the best resources are people.
Yeah, and all of that stuff just helps build self-belief. You've got people in your corner, they're pulling for you. That's an energy. It's walking out in the stadium in your home field and you hear all the fans roaring in support of you. I mean, that just gives you a lift. But you have those people in your corner with, especially when things are challenging, that you can call on, that can lift you out of a space where you're not feeling real good. It's massively important to be a mentor and also a mentee. So do both sides of the equation. And they both work hand in hand.
That's 100%.